Welcome back, everybody, to the Spirits and Beverage Podcast Bar Talk at Relief and Resource. I'm your host, John Foley. With me today, usual co-host Courtney Booms.
Hello.
And our guest, Charlotte Ruffini.
Hi.
Of the Cheese Lady, local cheesemonger?
Yeah.
Cheesemonger.
Mm-hmm.
So one who mongs cheese for our local community is here to talk about cheese and beverage pairings.
Yeah.
And just give us a little bit of information on some of the stuff that she's got in her awesome shop, which is located about 4 blocks away from Relief and Resource. And Char worked here.
I did.
For almost 4 years.
Quite a while.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she's alumni coming back to help us out with the podcast, which we very much appreciate. And since this episode is gonna hit you guys in early November, this is also a great way to research maybe some stuff that you want to buy for get-togethers at your house. Setting cheese out for holiday gatherings or just having some friends over around Thanksgiving, etc. Cheese is a great thing to have for a longer hangout time. You let it sit, kind of convene around it. Yeah, exactly. And always, before we get going with Shar, I want to thank iLogic Media, our production sponsor, and they put out a ton of great content. So please, if you haven't checked out the other things on iLogic, please do. Well worth your time.
Awesome.
Well, let's
run into it.
We got to get in. We got to get right into cheese.
Right into the cheese. Well, let's do the whiskey first, then I'll cut cheese for us.
And it should be noted also that I don't know if we've ever mentioned this in the podcast, but Courtney does the order for all the cheese and charcuterie that we serve in the bar. So she's the one kind of researching this product, every week, keeping our chalkboard rotating with lots of really good stuff.
Try to change it up. A couple cheddars, a couple hard cheeses, a couple soft cheeses.
Yeah.
Just a good variety.
How many do you have at your shop?
Shoot. I mean, currently I probably have like close to 115. When we get into the holiday season, we'll get some new holiday only things. Like I know I'm getting one tomorrow, which is a soft cheese rolled in cranberries. That's we're only going to have for the season. So I would say probably around 115, 120, depending on the day.
It's a lot of cheese.
So it's quite a few. Yeah.
And you go through all of it.
Yeah. People like cheese. It's a very easy job to sell cheese.
And the perfect snack to pair with anything cocktail.
Anything. In general, anything. Period.
Yeah, long before Relief and Resource was open, even when we were in the early stages of figuring out what we wanted to do food wise, cheese and charcuterie was a given.
Yeah,
like that was something we knew we would do from day one and continue to do because it's the perfect type of food for. In my opinion, for cocktails and for like sitting in a cocktail bar. Yeah. It's conducive to conversation. Yeah. It's not a huge, massive, heavy meal, and it's very high flavor, which goes well with the things that you're drinking.
I agree. It's easier to like nosh as you go along, the same as like bar nuts or pretzels or something like that, but maybe just a little bit fancier.
Yeah. This is ours? Okay, yeah.
Here, will you pour this for me?
Yeah. So we started with.
You don't remember? Remember how?
I forgot.
Okay.
I cleared that out when I had the cheese. That's part of the things that I removed.
Yeah.
Whiskey knowledge out one.
No,
okay, so hand this off screen, I guess. That was Elijah Craig for the radio listeners. That was Elijah Craig single barrel. So a single barrel of selected from barrels that become Elijah Craig small batch that Courtney and I picked down in Bardstown in April.
Mm-hmm. Just
we're working off of.
Yeah. And it's been on the podcast before. I think you had it during your hot drams one.
I did.
Yeah.
And what do we have? What's the cheese?
So cheese right here. This little guy is Old Quebec Cheddar. It is a aged cheddar from Quebec, like the name says. The cool thing about this one, though, it is created in Quebec, but then it is sent over to Lancaster, Pennsylvania to age over there because they have better environment for it. They have better caves and minerality and all that good stuff. So this is going to be a 3-year-old cheddar. It's aged for at least 3 years. They say it could be up to 4 or 5, depending on when they feel that it's ready. It's sharp. It's not incredibly sharp, though. I know that you guys love that VAT 17 cheddar that we have, which is actually younger, but it's a little bit drier and crumblier. This one has more moisture to it, more depth, and it's also made with raw milk. That adds to the creaminess of it a little bit.
So I think it's important to just go back because this is a misconception I had forever. Mm-hmm. Age does not always equate to max sharpness.
Correct. Yes.
Which a lot of people think the older the sharper.
Cheddar is a super interesting cheese. I know that most of us are like, oh, it's mild cheddar or sharp cheddar, and that's cheddar. Like there's a Florey's Truckle, which is a cloth bound cheddar, which I would say is not sharp whatsoever.
Not really.
But it's extremely mineral heavy. This one is older than the other cheddar, but it has more moisture just because of the environment that it's aged in and how it's created. And with cheddaring process, what makes a cheddar is they take it, press it into a mold, and then they crush it up again. They run it through like a sieve and get all those pieces and then press it further. And so that's how you get that like crumbly. And then if you see like a flavored cheddar, like that marbled look, it's because they break it up and then push it together again. So they might have only done that like once or twice with this cheddar. That's why it has more moisture in it. Whereas like the other cheddars that are sharper or have more crystallization, things like that, they might have done that process multiple times to create that texture. So I picked this one because it's sharp and it's bold, but it also has more moisture. So it's going to balance.
It's really creamy.
Yeah.
It's going to balance because this one's what, 94 proof?
Yeah.
95?
Yes.
Yeah.
So most of the research that I was doing kept saying it's like, oh, you can do like a sharp, like aged Gouda and things like that because they're really butterscotchy, but you want to have your whiskey be like 80 proof and stuff like that. So since this one's a little warmer, or with this one, it's got a little creamier texture to it.
What would you say the raw milk content gives like towards the cheese versus a pasteurized cheese or something? Like, is it a sweetness? Because like it tastes sweeter to me, or like it smells like sweet cream, but it doesn't taste.
It can
it's still
be
sharp at the same time.
It can be. So that's kind of, it's one of those things. I know that we're really familiar with it because that's how alcohol is too. It just depends. You know, it's so different for everything. This cheese, I think that they made the choice to make it raw milk to add to the flavor because it can give it like more of a depth. I would say would be, I know that's super vague, but that's like really the only thing I have
versus mild
for you, right? Versus being mild. But some cheeses have just been made that way forever, and that's how you make them, and that's the rules.
Yeah,
just like you have to make Scotch a certain way,
which
right?
then creates the style. Yeah,
right. So we'll get into some cheeses in a minute that are raw milk or made in a certain region where if you don't make it with raw milk, then it doesn't count. You know, it's not. What it is.
Because these are as protected as wine regions.
Right, like this,
as governed as wine regions.
They can be, we'll get into that. The next cheese that I have for you guys is one of my favorites, and it's so protected, and it's got crazy rolls, and I love it. So
it's great with the bourbon. The cheddar is great with bourbon.
I think so too.
It makes the orange notes of the bourbon stand out a lot too. That it's almost like a chocolate orange. Those cherries, chocolate oranges. You eat the cheese and then immediately follow it with some bourbon.
I will tell you my favorite thing to pair as far as a bridge. A lot of times, I talk about bridges with cheese too, because sometimes you're like, I don't want to eat cheese and whiskey. What the heck? Like that's all I'm eating. Sweet stuff is a great bridge. Salty stuff is a great bridge. So even something as simple as like a buttery cracker with the whiskey is important. So you have to look at the accompaniments as far as like bridges. So this one in particular, because it is salty and rich, if you put a dollop of lemon curd on it, it tastes like a lemon pie because like the salty crust. It is my favorite thing right now. I eat it at the store.
We have some lemon curd when we get through our current batch.
So good.
It's gonna be quite nice.
Like real lemon curd. So we're doing the next one.
Excellent.
I can touch his right. It's fine. Okay.
That's a big honk. It's a big heck and honk.
Honk and chonker.
Charlotte, what's the excellent tool you were using to slice that cheddar?
This little guy is a handy dandy cheese planer. We saw him at the store. If you're having a party, obviously, if you have like a cheese tray and you want to cut all the cheese and have it ready for your guests, it's definitely the way you should do it. But if you are just sitting there at home, or you have like just really close friends over, you and 3 other people, this little guy gives a nice thin piece of cheese. And when you're eating cheese, this way you're not eating a ton of it, but it's covering your entire tongue. That way you're getting the most flavor out of the bite. So if you want to be real particular about it and taste cheese or do a tasting with wine or whiskey or whatever, then this is the best way to
I think I would have a hard time just not sitting at home with that on my lap and just planing
I
cheese.
have done that.
Yeah, I would just...
more than I would like to admit.
All right, what cheese are you mongering currently?
Okay, so this is one of my favorite. You want to do the Scotch first?
You do the Scotch first.
Yeah.
Got Coila. Delicious
Also
12-year Isla single malt Scotch.
So this is Isla, folks. For those who have been listening along to our episodes, already know this is a pretty heavily peated stuff. This one is Northern Isla, so got a good amount of peat to it, but also pretty malty and pretty creamy too. It's not as aggressively, simply front palate peat forward as, say, like Ardbeg would be.
Right.
Nice
Yeah.
grassy notes from the barley in that one too.
Grassy.
this.
That's
I
so
love-
perfect for this. So the cheese that I picked for this is Comté. So Comté is going to be from France, from Eastern France. And that's going to butt right up against Switzerland and those Alps. It is an Alpine style cheese, and this one is very, very, very protected. There's only certain creameries that are allowed to make it. And I think they're extremely limited. I want to say like there's 2 like large ones that I can actually get here in Michigan, like from the creamery. And then there's a lot of small like family style farms that are allowed to produce it as well, but they don't produce enough volume to be able to ship it basically. It's super dense, extremely rich. It's kind of in the same family as like a Gruyere, something similar to that.
Can be used in place of Gruyere in
Yes.
certain recipes,
Yes.
like French onion.
It's very melty. It makes an amazing fondue if you want to spend a lot of money on fondue. It is a little bit pricey, but there's so many rules and nuances that go into taking care of this cheese, and I just love it. Like, there's only allowed to be 50 cows on the farm that the milk is brought from. Each
50.
cow, that's the max.
Because they want less variation in the milk or something?
They want the cows to be taken care of.
Okay.
Basically, they want the quality of life.
Okay, yeah.
Happy cows make good milk, make good cheese. So each cow is required to have at least 1.5 acres of grazing land, so they're not cramped up. Each cow has to be physically pet or touched by the farmer every single day, so that they know the cow's healthy, happy, and all that stuff. You are allowed to mechanically milk your cows, but the first squirt of milk out of the udder first thing in the morning has to be done by hand to make sure that the cows are healthy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like
Very
a Wagyu
interesting.
version of cheese.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. And then this green
Very
label
cool.
on the outside means that it has like a green, it's like past the test basically. There's also one that's like a brown label, which is not as good, but still pretty good. They have like a very specific rating system when they taste the Comté before it leaves the aging process. If it doesn't pass, like if it doesn't score a certain number, and I couldn't tell you the number scale off the top of my head, but if it doesn't score a certain number, it doesn't count. They're like, nope, not good enough, not selling it. If it's not over like 75 percentile, they don't sell it.
Wow.
I don't know what they do with it, but probably feed it to their kids or something.
Yeah,
But yeah, you can see how dense it is, and it's got this gorgeous natural rind on the outside. So it's not smelly per se, but it does have a nice natural crusty coat on there. So that technically is edible. You probably don't want to eat it, but
The rind?
to each their own.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is just
Thank you.
very dense and very rich and bold. And I know that it would stand really well
Sorry to
next to the
waste-
scotch.
Sorry, way softer than that cheddar. Like you can actually fold your.
Yeah, this is going to be semi-soft, what we call like flappy. Like everyone's like, what's the difference between soft and semi-soft and semi-hard? Semi-hard and semi-soft are so like such spectrum. But usually I say if you can bend it without it breaking, then it's semi-soft. But this is still so dense, but
It's got those salt crystals I like, but it's really thin.
But really rich and creamy.
oh, I'm eating off my glove hand. What a monster.
You got spare? You got spare glove?
Got a spare? We're good.
So this Comté is one of the cheeses that. Sorry, I'll try not to chew and talk. It's really, really rude. It's one of the cheeses that made me start to appreciate good cheese. Like I didn't really grow up eating a lot of gourmet cheese by any means. It was until I got in the restaurant industry that I was able to discover it. And I think there's something really approachable about it without losing any complexity at all. I mean, to the American palate, this is something that you could really easily get into.
Absolutely.
I
I
feel
think it's a great gateway cheese, as we say. Like, right? There's like gateway scotches for people that aren't used to peat, bold things like that. But it's a great gateway cheese. When we get into it later too, I also love to use manchego as a gateway cheese.
Yeah, that's the other one.
For non-cow milk, because people are like, holy crap, they make cheese out of stuff other than cows. And I'm like, listen, it's not that bad.
If it's got
not too
hooves,
scary.
it can be milk.
So
It's true.
the creaminess and the finish on this cheese, I think, go really nicely with the peat.
Yeah. Well, and the grassy note too, because like Charlotte
I was
picked
gonna
that
say,
up
when
right
you
when
said
I
that,
said
like
it.
grassy
you
is
can get
exactly what I was looking
hay
for.
out
so
of
I'm
this
so happy.
cheese.
Yep.
and then that barley grain, like the rough cereal grain almost of the Cahuilla, and then you just get smoke on the back end, which cools down that creaminess.
Yeah.
That's great pairing.
Oh, well done, Charlotte.
Thank you. This is
this
the
is just
hardest
a
part about my
fabulous
job.
scotch generally
What?
Is getting a
as
glove onto your hand after it's like
If you, yeah.
sweaty.
Yep.
Tactile.
Hand off. Thank you.
Blue.
Yum, yum, yum.
Blue is a controversial cheese.
It can be.
Controversial.
Can be,
it
yeah.
controversial.
People get
Love it or hate
real,
it.
get real aggressively angry if they hate it.
People get
About
something.
heated.
offering
But
even
how-
blue cheese.
but
to
how
them
much they hate
sometimes.
it, yeah.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's you got to get used to it, but I'd like to think that I can probably get someone to like blue cheese.
We're pairing it with a lovely Glenfiddich 12-year.
Ooh, yes.
Which
it's
is-
Bayside.
Yeah, which is the Glenfiddich that everybody can get pretty much anywhere.
Easily available.
Yeah.
Very honeyed.
Has anybody ever done the study about how much, how disproportionate the consumption in this country of blue cheese is in dirty martini olives versus
Oh.
other means of,
People are like, oh, I hate blue
Consuming-
cheese unless it's surrounded by vodka.
yeah, and salt.
Then it's not so bad.
I'm going to go on record by saying that I think the dirty martini with blue cheese olives is the worst drink in the history of all
Yes,
cocktails.
we know how that is. So
If I want Brian, I'll get it from my scotch. Thank you.
Well, it's just,
I'll
can't
just eat them on the side.
drink that drink.
I get it, but
It's actually all right.
I've made you a dirty martini
Facetious.
before. I
no,
think. What?
no.
Didn't I make you one once back in the day?
I hope not. I would drink a pickleback shot before I drank a dirty martini if I
That
wanted to get a
tracks.
salty drink.
Okay.
You get as many electrolytes that way too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd be feeling fine.
I love that you took that into consideration.
Yeah.
All right, this is Gorgonzola.
This is Gorgonzola.
Okay.
So this is Gorgonzola Picante. So there's Gorgonzola Dolce, which means sweet, and then there's Gorgonzola Picante, which means hot. In this case, it's not spicy. It's just has more pepperiness to it, I would say.
Bold.
It's bolder.
Yeah.
The difference is in the process of making this cheese would be instead of using all the fresh curds from that day's milking, they use the night before's, some of the night before's milk. So it has a little bit of funk on it, I guess. It
Yeah, good idea.
encourages the penicillin growth a little bit more than the Dolce variety.
Is that what these lines? Because like some blue cheeses, you can see a straight line, just kind of where they inject.
Correct.
For
So like if you
penicillin?
look, I mean, I can't know if
Usually
you see-
yeast,
if you see
right?
that that line right there, and if you look at the top, this one's not a great example of it, but there you can see puncture wounds
Oh,
on
yeah.
the top of
Yeah,
those
where
blue
they had
cheeses.
injected.
Yep. So what they do is they wrap the cheese, they let it sit and harden into a mold, and then they puncture it. This cheese in particular has to be punctured with copper needles. It's one of the rules.
Okay.
And then they wrap it in foil. That foil keeps the moisture inside of it, so it encourages the mold growth throughout the cheese.
Italian.
Italian, yes, Italian, Northern Italy, Lombardy. So I'm going to use a butter knife to scrape this. Usually this is not what I do, but that's okay. And I'm just going to hand the butter knives to you so you can have your little knife of cheese.
Oh,
on it.
great.
Knife alone.
Yeah, so this one, as you can see, it is soft. And this one is nice and salty. It's creamy. It is, I would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, pretty blue. Maybe
Yeah.
like a 7.
Yeah, I think Dolce is more approachable.
Dolce is definitely more approachable, and that's what you see a lot in like the grocery stores and things like that. It is a little bit more readily available too. I don't currently carry Dolce at my store just because I know that you can get it other places, and I want to have people try new things. But if you need it, I can get it for you. So blue cheese is traditionally like a desserty cheese, and I know this is a sweeter, more honey-forward Scotch, so I went with this guy.
I should say it's got a really strongly aggressive honey nose, the Glenfiddich.
And I love blue cheese now.
That's
It's
awesome.
It's good.
That's such a fantastic pairing.
I thought it was gonna be good.
And I guess you progress as you grow with blue cheese. Like you have to teach yourself kind of how to like it.
Yes.
It's funny because I haven't tasted a Gorgonzola Picante in probably 5 years, and
Mhm.
I remember thinking even prior to that, like, wow, this is pretty intense, pretty blue.
Blue, yeah.
But in between then and now,
Mhm.
I've certainly tasted more intensely blue cheeses. This tastes pretty
Right.
approachable at
I know
this
you guys
stage.
had that Calabras on there. That one from
Oh.
Spain. That's
Mhm.
basically
Okay,
black.
so
The Calabras one, isn't
is
that
it
what's called?
Calabras?
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it? Okay. So yeah, that stuff was, you can taste that stuff in your nose.
Right.
Like
It was
when
like
you're
it was like
horseradish,
ammonia.
like the way
Yeah.
it just exploded like the middle of your palate.
Flames your sinuses.
And you could pair anything you want with that. And you're still just going to taste that cheese.
So
Yeah,
you
forever.
mentioned this is like peppery, which it is, but the creamy factor, like, and the moisture being locked in, still gives you like a super soft, sweet mouthfeel.
Yeah, it finishes nice and
Yeah.
nice and
Yeah,
mellow.
it's really like people like see it, and especially since this has such a gnarly rind on it, because this one does have a lot of moisture. When you get this cheese in the store, like when I get it on my big wheel, it's almost like velvety. And then as soon as you touch it, it just turns to stick. Like it's just so sticky.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, "Oh my god, is this good? Is it bad?" I'm like, "No, it's supposed to be all orange on the outside.
Yeah.
It's totally fine."
Is it just is
People
that
forget
called
too,
like a
it's-
bloomy mold or something?
This one isn't particularly bloomy,
Mhm.
but it's just the mold growth, just the natural environment.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they age it probably in a dark wet room.
And it's so salty.
So salty.
It's so salty.
Salty cheese is
Yeah.
so good though.
Is that
It's midnight.
Midnight Moon?
Midnight.
That's a great cheese. We've had it on our board as well before.
Yeah.
And we're pairing it with El Dorado 8-year.
Yes.
Go cheese and rum.
Demerara.
Go cheese and rum.
Go
Let's
cheese and
go.
rum. I'm going to do a little. I'm spilling water everywhere. Should be doing it out of the pitcher with the lip that's meant for pouring. But you
It's almost like he's poured things before.
That's
For some
crazy. Does he
reason-
do
not
that?
well
I
today.
think-
Here, just give me the cap. Shar, you ready to go?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
So El Dorado 8-year Guyanese cask aged Demerara rum.
Yeah. Nice brown
So,
sugar in that
On
one.
the rum sweetness scale, this is further towards sweet.
Yeah.
Nice and rich, also known as black rum. So like good age, good sugar content, very, very rich. El Dorado, you could drink with a cigar if you wanted.
Yeah. So the cheese I picked for the El Dorado is going to be this.
Help you out.
Thank you. Hey, thanks.
Also, I think we're
'Cause you
gonna
never
need
spill
more of these for like 2 cheeses from now. I picked Midnight Moon, which is going to be a 6-month-old goat Gouda.
Gouda.
Goat Gouda.
Goat Gouda.
Also, everyone I know. So in our dialect, being Michiganders, we say Gouda, which is completely fine. It's technically correct. In
It will still
Gouda
get you a
good.
plate of cheese in
Yes.
in the Netherlands.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. In the Netherlands, they say it Gouda. It's like a hard R on the front. So we try to say Gouda or Gouda as much as we can just to be correct, but I forget on a daily basis. So anyway, this is going to be made under the Cypress Grove label that is out of California, but this particular cheese is made in Holland. It's just done with their money, basically.
Gotcha.
It's aged for
So
approximately 6 months.
they're contracting a cheese basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they wanted
More
it
like
to
a
be
negotiant kind of.
right. It's
Yeah.
like a true Holland Gouda, but it's done under the Cypress Grove label. Cypress Grove has some awesome,
Yeah,
awesome
that stuff's
stuff.
amazing.
Amazing cheese. So this one's 6 months old, 100% goat milk. You can tell by how white it is compared to like a cow's milk cheese that'll be a little bit more off-white, like ivory, for lack of a better term. And this one is going to be very, very, very white. It's going to be tangy. And the more you age the goat cheese, the less that tang is kind of, it's not as abrasive. But I picked this one for this rum because I think the brightness of the fact that it's goat milk will pair really well. Kind of cut the sweetness a little bit more.
I'm really excited
Yeah.
about this pairing.
Yeah.
It's really nutty, so that I can see that going together.
Midnight
really
Moon
well,
is fantastic. Hold on.
I wasn't sure if that was going to work with that. The planer?
Let me
Does-
get the
does it
rind
crumble?
off that. Well, I think that this one's been planed a little bit already, so I got to
I'm
this.
very impressed with the planer. That's why I'm asking questions.
Oh, the
I
planer?
don't have one.
too. You know he's
is
going to sit on his couch later
life-changing.
and just plane some cheese.
I have
straight
little,
don't have-
I
I don't
have
have
little
enough-
mini ones
I
at the
might.
store too. They're tiny. They're little personal planers.
Oh, personal planer.
And I'll tell you guys, this is very crumbly today. So this might not work super well, but that's okay. And I'll tell you this: if you have one of these planers at your house and you want to put butter on your toast, friggin' plane your butter with that,
Ah.
because then you have a nice thin slice.
Life hack
So,
from Shirley.
life
Wow.
hack. Yeah, cheese planer life hack. I remember when I had this at my house as a little kid. My mom had one from like a Pampered Chef party in 1993 or whatever.
Those were hot in
My mom
93.
was
They were
super into
hot in
Pampered Chef,
93.
too, yeah.
And I just used it to get cookies off the cookie sheet. That's what I used this for. I didn't know what this was, you know.
It's just
So,
a
like,
small spatula for cookies.
yeah, I was like, what's this weird little line in there? I don't understand. It's really messing with
Cheese
my
is going to
cookies.
pieces, sure.
Cheese is going to pieces. So this is 6 months old. Goat milk has its slight tendency to be, well, I shouldn't say that. It depends on the goat cheese. The way this one's aged, it's a little crumbly. But
Because there's a lighter milk fat content in goat cheese, right?
Mhm.
So like there's nothing holding it together quite as strongly as
Yeah,
the
there
goat
are
milk.
some extremely decadent goat cheeses, just depending on how they're aged.
Mhm.
But
Those go super well together.
Yeah,
I love
that's
Midnight
really
Moon.
great.
Yeah.
How would you serve Midnight Moon? I mean, aside from just putting it out.
Aside from just putting it out, like
Yeah.
how would I?
Would you put in a recipe with something or?
So with aged Goudas, regardless of their milk, I love these with like roasted vegetables, like Brussels sprouts, asparagus, freaking kale, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like roasted balsamic vegetables and crap like that with aged Gouda on it is like
I would do that.
so good. Plus, it's super easy.
As soon as you said roasted, I pictured roasted figs, and then all of a sudden that sounded.
Oh,
really
figs,
good
yeah,
too.
you do figs too. Really anything.
Poach your figs in some rum, maybe.
You could poach your figs in rum.
Yeah, I
You
saw
could have a
recipe
fig poaching
for-
party for your nearest and dearest.
Okay,
That's gonna be fun.
so yeah, there's
I look
Midnight
forward to
Moon
the
and rum.
invitation.
And then I think we have rum
It's
next
coming.
too, don't we?
Do we have rum next?
We have another rum.
Oh, we have a Jamaican rum. Yeah,
So you're getting a little funk in the party.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So this is the estate blend.
Appleton Estates.
Yeah.
Jamaica Rum, signature blend.
Signature blend. Yeah, this is your flagship from Appleton Estate. So we chose these. Mark chose these because we wanted to get some stuff on this table that you can just go out and buy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, they're all easily.
Aside from
available,
our-
I'd say.
single barrel, obviously, which we only have here, you can go out and buy all these spirits really, really easily. Nothing's allocated. You should just be able to walk into any good spirit store and get
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that we're drinking today. Cahuilla might be a little bit tough, but if you look, you'll
You
find it.
asked you. Yeah. So
ordered.
for this Jamaican rum, I paired it with Beamster XO or extra aged. And this guy is going to be
Also, Gouda.
also Gouda, cow milk Gouda, and from Holland, all grass fed. And it's 26 months old. So we're like quadrupling the age on this guy. You can see all these great little eyes in there. Hold on, let me grab him. So anyway, this has a wax rind. It has all these great little crystally eyes.
That's what they're called?
These are called eyes.
I
Yeah.
like it.
remember the.
So that's going to be like Swiss,
Yeah.
the typical like
That's what I
holes
was
in the
thinking,
Swiss cheese. Yeah, those are eyes. And those are just basically caused in the aging process. That's gas trying to escape and it can't get out. So it just makes a big hole in the cheese. Some of them are more holy than others. Just depends on how often they go to church or whatever.
Nailed it. That's a cheese joke.
Cheese joke for you. I got to get one in. But you can even see like the crystallized, like the little enzyme crystals in there, which is just to die for. But this one's very old,
Looks awesome.
real crusty, and
You can plane the crap out of that cheese.
playing the crap out of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
play in this for days. Look at this nice.
Woo! It's so well aged and firm that I imagine like it's not as ideal to put in something like a grilled cheese, but the flavor of it is.
Yeah, this one
insane.
I
has-
feel like this one I would
a-
just be eaten by itself.
Yeah.
This one is eaten cheese. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's
not
snack cheese.
great cooking cheese just because it does not have a great melting factor. Opposed to like that dense Comté that we tried earlier. It's super hard,
Oh.
like physically, but
So
it's got that bendiness to it. But this is just like crispy, crunchy, and bold Gouda. But it's still like so sweet and like butterscotchy. It's amazing. Gouda's like
Despite how sharp it is, it is so sweet.
Well, it brings out a ton of those fruity esters in the Jamaican rum. It's like your banana and your papaya
Yeah.
pop a little bit harder because of the salty left
Yeah.
over in your mouth.
I feel like,
Nice.
I like each pairing more as we go.
Is it because we're drinking straight liquor
No.
as we go?
like everything's so good.
No, I think it's because, honestly, I like whiskey and cheese a lot, but I am less convinced than ever that whiskey is the best spirit to pair with cheese.
Oh yeah, rum is
So,
a great pairing with cheese
yeah.
so far.
It's like every time I venture outside of that, I end up being rewarded by
Yeah.
kind of like a surprise.
Oh, it's so nice.
All right.
Makes it really nutty too.
Yeah, this is such a nutty cheese. This one's so popular for our cheese trays that we do at work.
We have like 2 more of these.
We have
Getting like a
3
like a-
more.
oh, great.
We have this next one and then 2 more after that.
Getting lunch.
Mm-hmm. Did you say this is your lunch?
No, I'm gonna supplement. Trust me, with much more food. But
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna go get a
The real
freaking
reason why we've
sandwich.
been adding chicken wings and cheese to the shows are because we just want lunch on the clock.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna hand everyone a new Well, I guess I'll just keep these and just hand them down, basically. Our very technical spreading eyes here.
Yeah.
All right, so
Ready
give
for the
this
next
big
one?
baby.
Yeah, I guess we are.
So our next spirit of choice is Cognac, Pierre Ferrand, 1840.
Cognac, I'm excited.
Cognac is actually maybe the first thing I would have thought of besides whiskey as a spirit to choose because it's
Makes sense.
almost it's made from fruit, grapes most of the time.
Mhm.
You might argue, and everyone pairs cheese with wine so much that why
Yeah.
not a grape-based spirit?
Well, and these are Venice vinifera grapes. I mean, these are wine grapes.
Right.
They
Right.
just don't make great wine. They make great brandy.
Yeah.
Uni Blanc is not a grape that makes tremendous white wine, but if you distill it, it makes fantastic brandy.
Yeah.
But you're still a wine grape growing area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you still smell and taste grapes out of it.
Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
know what you're looking for.
And this is Pierre Ferrand, 1840, which is the historical pre-phylloxera recipe at the Ferrand House.
Phylloxera, which we mentioned during the Irish episode, is
Yeah.
being a
Yeah.
mold that grew on grapes
Yeah.
and kind of ruined most of them.
Ripped them apart in the 1850s, 60s. So
But now we have spirits, so it's great.
that's
Fair.
true.
So
What you got, Sharon?
I went full blown dessert with this pairing. This is a cheese that I've gotten within the last few months at the cheese store, and I'm in love with it. I'm like head over heels in love with it. I'm just obsessed with it, and I can't even talk about it.
I already love that it comes in a black wax.
Okay,
rind.
so this is
Yeah.
going to be kind of a different style of blue cheese because blue cheese usually doesn't come in a wax rind. And like we were talking earlier, I'm going to touch it with my hands. You can see all of those puncture holes throughout the back of it.
Yeah.
That is how they got the mold into this cheese in particular. This is called Grand Noir, and it is made by the same creamery that makes Cambozola. If anyone's familiar with that one, that's going to be a bloomy rind blue cheese. Champignon, I believe, is the name of the creamery that this one comes from. It is triple cream, so it has a very high fat content. It's decadent. It's creamy. It's salty. It's like all the things that your doctor tells you you're not supposed to eat a lot of. That's what this tastes like, and it feels it's the best. So anyway,
I've never had this, so I'm really excited.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I can't even talk about it. I love it so much.
Yeah, I've had
But,
Cambozola is
I was
German?
This is going to be German blue
Yeah.
cheese, correct? Yes. So this one is just like butter, and it's not bold at all. If I was going to have someone come into my store and be like, I absolutely hate blue cheese, it's repulsive, and it's just not for me, then I would give them this with like a little spread of like whipped honey on it. And I'd be like, eat that and tell me that's not the best thing you ever had. So cognac after dinner, hanging out,
Maybe some jam.
maybe some jam. Woo! Doesn't get any better. So good. So yeah, this is
Big
what I
Charlotte
picked.
smiling. Who really
I
loves
love
cheese.
cheese. That's like I have the right job, man. They say do what you
Yeah.
love, don't work a day in your life, right? Just talk about cheese. Like it's your boyfriend. If this cheese is a person, it could be, marry it.
That is awesome. Awesome cheese.
Oh, you're not joking. It's like butter.
It's just like
Mhm.
It's like I
That's
took a
fantastic. You would definitely want that on a plate.
compound
around the
and put it in
holidays.
my mouth. Yeah.
it's so desserty. It's like after dinner treat.
Like I feel like I would want any of the classic like French dessert beverages with this. Like it could be cognac or sauterne or pinot de Chiron. Like any of that stuff
Yeah.
I know.
would be awesome.
I was really breaking the rules. So I was like, oh, we're doing cognac. I should probably do French cheese, but I couldn't.
Germans and French can get along sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
Sometimes.
and Alsace is like flipped a couple times. Bad circumstances.
It's fabulous. It takes some of the bite out of the cognac, and so you're just getting all the sweet, mellow flavors out of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I feel like once the
Interesting.
alcohol impact of good cognac disappears, you're pretty much usually left with just richness
Yeah.
and sweetness.
Yeah.
That's a good one, Shar.
Cool. Yeah. She's a real gem.
Now this isn't
Look
seasonal.
for
You
her
can get
at
this
Arnold.
forever.
This is not
Christmas
seasonal.
time,
No,
for
I will
sure.
always have this in my store unless some
Yeah,
terrible,
works,
terrible thing happens.
I
That's
think
great.
that's great for Christmas time cheese,
Yeah, it
even
really
though it's
is.
seasonal whenever.
That looks like manchego.
This like manchego. That's crazy. 'cause
Sorry.
It is manchego.
Oh. I waited until I knew I was going to get one right to get.
Yeah. You guess gorgonzola too. You know what gorgonzola is. You could tell.
Yeah.
How many do we have after this? Oh my god, we still have
Only a couple.
2 more after this.
So
But you're pairing
Salami?
Spanish cheese with English dry gin.
I am.
Nice.
Yeah.
Another world meets world situation.
You know?
Ooh, and it's a fresh bottle.
I know you're intimately familiar with Tangerine.
Yes.
You know that product.
Tangerine. So here's how I was talking to my father about this in the car the other day. He's like, what's your do you have like a go-to like order? And I feel like working at the cocktail bar for so long, I really don't have like a go-to order because I want to try house cocktails.
new.
I feel like I
stuff
pour you
that.
just whatever you're in the mood for.
Yeah, and like sometimes I want to drink scotch, and sometimes I want to drink martinis, and sometimes I want to have like a juicy white girl drink. You know, like I just want to drink like fruit punch with gin in it. It's fine. And then or what were those Ango sodas? I was all about those.
You
Ango
really
sodas.
like
Yeah, the
Mango soda.
Angostura
Yeah.
bitter lemon lime soda.
I was like, I don't even care what alcohol's in it. I just
Yeah.
want to drink the Ango
It's a
soda.
delivery device for the soda.
But but like I think Tangerine is my go-to panic order. Like the servers, you sit down at the table, servers like, what do you want? I'm like, Tangerine Tonic. And it's not just gin and tonic, it's always Tangerine Tonic. It's my go-to. I know it's gonna be good no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
It's a delicious citrus forward gin.
It's perfect.
The first time I met you, Shar, was actually at a gin class here.
Oh yeah.
It was before I started working. I took
I had
a
my
class here
plaid
with you.
jacket.
We taught that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was
Put
fun.
it together.
Yeah.
Was that the martini class? Or was it just the gin class?
It started with a martinez, so yeah, I think it was
Yeah, it was a
The-
class
the origin of the
on
martini.
the gin martini.
the origin of
Yeah.
It really was a good class.
Cool.
So yeah, with this guy, I picked Manchego. Honestly, mostly because gin is dry and this is oily. It's oily cheese.
So we're pairing for contrast.
Yeah, I'm really contrasting these two. Yeah.
All right.
So this one's got salt. I did a lot of reading on this, and a lot of the articles that I went through paired it with pecorino a few times. I decided not to do pecorino today strictly because I do not have as obscure of varieties as pecorino as I would like. I have pecorino romano, which is classic Italian
What you know.
cooking cheese, right? I do get some seasonal pecorinos in that are more specific and more built for eating rather than cooking. But this is going to be this particular Manchego is aged 12 months, so it's pretty hard, firm, salty, 100% sheep's milk, and it's oily. It's nice and oily. If you let this sit out on your counter, it's going to leave an oil mark on it.
It's gonna get wet,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's not water; it's oil. It's
Yeah.
like an oily almond. You know?
One of the things I also like about Manchego is the distinctive design on it. It's almost like a herringbone.
Yeah, like this basket weave
Crosshatch.
pattern.
Yeah.
That is one of the rules, and no one else is allowed to copy it either.
Right.
So that being said, there are different varieties. Like I know you guys had like
Ideasmal.
Adiasval, thank you. And I also have one that's Iberico, which is all three milks. It's sheep, goat, and cow. And that
Really?
one has this basket weave on
yes,
there
we've
as
discussed
well.
that one as well.
Yeah. And that one's it's almost more approachable than Manchego, honestly.
Probably.
It's got more
That one sounds
chedderiness.
good too.
But yeah, so we're going to do 12-month Manchego. Nice oily boy for this dry gin.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the aging. It has all these gaps in it. Rather than if you see like a young Manchego, it's going to be more solid. This is going to have more of like the air pockets in there.
All right.
Thank you.
Is that for you?
Yeah. The little air pockets make it almost look like it's a baby Swiss or something like that. But
Right. And this is very breakable. Like it's not as bendy. My personal favorite Manchego is 6 months old, but this one was more
I
ideal.
love the smell of a Manchego.
It's
It's like a sheep's foot if it was nice.
if it was clean.
It was, yeah.
Like
Like
a
a
baby
baby
sheep in a bathtub, and you're like, "Oh, you smell so good." It's like how a puppy has a certain smell.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
this is what you think a baby sheep's head would smell
It's got
like.
a little funkiness, but it's not bad.
Tell me you just don't want to smell a puppy or even a human baby. You smell a human baby's head?
Not recently, but I could give it a go.
That's great.
Almost every day.
Yeah, almost every day.
Head is
See?
pretty tiny.
Yeah.
I don't think he smells like Manchego though.
He doesn't smell like Manchego. It's very like, oh, that's such a
He smells more like a
human baby.
derby,
Like a derby.
A derby.
Yeah, sage derby.
a sage derby.
A UK cheddar.
Yeah, should, yeah.
I argue a UK cheddar is better than an American style cheddar.
I agree.
It's a personal choice. So if you want to argue with me, that's fine. No one's going to win, but
Yeah. We're just gonna fight to the death about which cheddar's better. So whatever. Yeah.
all
right.
I remember
Moving
earlier you
on.
said Manchego is a very nice,
We're moving on.
approachable cheese for first time sheep's milk cheese.
Yes, this is a great
tried.
cheese. If
Really
you've
nice.
never had anything other than cow cheese, this is a great place to start. And it also looks so pretty on board. So pretty. This weave on there, and you can cut it into perfect little triangles and lay it out.
Yeah, it displays
If
nicely.
you want to show off.
Now here's one that won't look good on board all night long.
Not all night long,
Probably
maybe early.
Can you hand me a piece of paper? Thank you. All right. There she is. All her glory.
Look at her.
She's squishy. She looks like a brain.
And she's paired with Teeling Irish whiskey.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Small batch, is that correct?
Yes.
I love Teeling
I do too. We just
for
added
lots of
some.
reasons.
I think it's a really useful whiskey. It's great, a great cocktail whiskey.
That's just what I was going to say. It's great to pour on its own, but it's also great to add other flavors too if you wanted to mix it into.
Yeah, we have a drink with Tina
cocktail.
on our menu right now.
And I was reading this one's relative, like the distillery is relatively new, like 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just started releasing a pot still and a single malt and
Gotcha.
a single grain, and then this is the small batch, which has been around for
A while.
A while now,
Yeah.
yeah.
One of my favorites from them is Brabazon, which tastes like a s'mores.
Ooh, smart.
Chocolate and marshmallow. Oh, so good.
All right. So the cheese that I selected for this delicious little whiskey bit is triple cream brie from France, Delice de Bourgogne. This is going to be brie, but it is earthy, mushroomy, good. But this definitely is not a novice brie. This is not a brie you're going to put in your oven and put
Baked with cranberries.
Yeah.
put cranberries on. Since
Yeah.
this is just like goop, basically.
so soft,
So soft.
like you're scraping butter.
It is, yeah. Sometimes it's a struggle. You have to be very delicate. Like wrapping this in cheese paper is hilarious.
Yeah, but it is
Trying
a
to
little
like,
bit more waste with this one, perhaps.
yes, it tends to fall apart a little bit. But this guy is almost perfect as far as like the ripeness. I was really pleased when I pulled this out today and it looks like this.
Do you give them? They vary.
Yes. So
Yeah.
if you, I don't know if anyone can see, all the people watching the video can see it, but like if you look here, you can see like how it's a little bit more solid in the middle,
Mhm.
and then it ripens from the outside in. So you're going to have a slightly more firm center, and then it's going to ripen until it basically collapses in on itself like a black hole.
Actually, I don't know how well we can tell from the video as well,
Yeah.
but the very, very center part of it is like super bright white, and
Yes.
the outer
Yep.
side is almost like opaque.
Yes. So as it ages, it's going to get a little bit, and that earthiness is going to really come through the older it gets. Just like, whiskey gets bolder as it gets older sometimes. This stuff, and this is with any brie. If you buy a piece of double cream brie from the store, I'll tell you this right now, even if you buy like a little wheel of like Rennie Peacock at the grocery store and it says it goes bad on November 6th, that cheese is fine for a long time.
Yeah.
Do not listen to the label. If you hold it up to your face and it smells ammoniated or you see anything pink on it, that's when you need to start being worried. But I guarantee you, if you buy cheese at the grocery store, it's good for a month at least
Past the date.
after the
that's
date.
Yeah.
Cheese takes a long time to go bad. It's one of my favorite things about working in the cheese industry.
Yeah.
Because I could keep my stuff for a while. Softer cheeses you have to be more concerned about, but you guys are all smart. If it looks gross and it smells bad, then probably throw it out, but do not pay attention to the dates.
That's one of the other things that I've noticed too, ordering for us at the bar, is because we'll cut the cheeses and sometimes you'll get this like white freckles on the outside, and it's actually just salt.
Mhm.
But at first we couldn't tell quite right away whether it was mold or salt, and so we had to test it. And yeah, it smelled great, and it was just salt.
The mold on cheese looks really bad. Like the bad stuff, I feel like looks
Right. Like if you,
really,
like a sign. If you have to think about it, you're probably fine.
that's what I tell all my girls,
Yeah.
like all my employees when I hire them. I'm like, if you think you're like, I'm not sure, then it's fine. If you're like, holy shit, that smells like a dead body, then you should probably throw it out. Yeah. You'll know. Trust me. You'll know.
So back to
like a
this.
dead
This pairing is amazing. I think this cheese is so lush and intense and
yeah.
like fully realized in terms of flavor. It's bold.
Yeah.
And you always think of brie as kind of light and creamy, but
It's very different.
bigger scale
Yeah.
to that style of cheese then.
It smells like buttered toast with just a little bit of Marmite on it. Just like a little bit of a yeasty smell to it or something. Like
Yeah,
that
it
as well.
does.
It's super nice.
Cheese does smell. Some cheeses smell very yeasty.
And
Like
Irish whiskeys are mellow and refined and it's creamy and sweet, and they're easy to drink. So
Great with toast.
yeah,
They would go great with
great with
toast.
toast.
Yes.
They're also really good with a really creamy cheese too.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
mouthfeel is very complimentary.
Yeah, I love this cheese. I love
Yeah,
when I
it's
can
great.
talk
Thanks for
people
bringing
into
this
it. It's nice. We're down to it.
We're down
the
to it.
last
We're
one.
down to the
It's
last,
the last
one,
one.
which is actually my most I'm most interested in this pairing because instead of doing a spirit, technically we're doing liquor.
Yeah, but definitely one that you would in certain situations drink after a meal.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, chartreuse is one of my favorite things. That's
Yeah,
what
I
we're
love
drinking
chartreuse,
today.
yeah.
Green chartreuse.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm just excited to drink chartreuse, honestly. Okay. So we are doing green chartreuse, which is just top secret. No one actually knows what it is, but it's
Lots
the
and lots
best.
of herbs.
It just
From
is.
France, made by monks.
Yep.
I know when I worked
Delicious.
here, people would be like, well, like, what is green chartreuse? I'm like, do you know what green tastes like? And
Yeah.
they're like, what do you mean? I was like grass, leaves, green stuff.
Herbs.
Yeah.
It tastes like green. Like if you close your eyes and like that's what green is supposed to taste like. And they're like, they look at me and they go, all right. And then they order the drink and they're like, this tastes like green. You're so right. And I was like, I told you it tastes like green.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain, but it just is.
It's fun to drink neat too, because I always get a really like warming sensation in my chest, almost more than I would of like an overproof whiskey.
Absolutely, because it's got
It
that
is, what, 120?
110 proof
Oh, it's a strong one.
and viscosity. It's just
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
rich.
Yes.
Yeah. What
So-
do we have paired with it? Sharon?
So for our freaking big bodied green chartreuse, I did Parmigiano Reggiano. Saltier than heck. Okay, so I'm going to go into Parmesan first off. A lot of people get Parm at the store,
Yeah, it's
and
not that.
you got to read the label. It's got to be Parmigiano Reggiano. That's the legal protected version. And even when you get Parmesan that's already pre-shredded and things like that, the more cheese is exposed to the air, the more the flavor evaporates off of it. So the best way, and I know I sound like a brat saying this, but like the best way to buy Parmesan is buy it in a piece like this. And then for every plate of pasta or every recipe, grate it right into the pot and then save the rest of it in the big block. Because the less air comes in contact with it, the more flavor you're going to have. So this one, Parmigiano Reggiano, is going to be different than the Parmesan you get in the green containers.
Craft Parmesan is
Yeah,
that
the
Parmesan
powder?
Reggiano?
No, I don't
Oh
think so.
my gosh.
I know. I hate to break it to you. It's
Mind
crazy.
blown.
So this is going to be very intensely salty. Definitely something that you can't eat a lot of.
I beg to differ. I can eat a lot.
Yeah. Listen.
On its own or with something though?
With something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if people ask for this on trays quite a bit, and I always preface it, are you going to cook with it or are you going to eat it?
Yeah.
Because there are really better options as far as like an aged Italian cheese that's snackable. Because this can be abrasive. But you know what else is abrasive? Green chartreuse.
Mhm.
So that's what I paired with it because it's
I'm
salty.
excited for this one.
It's so crystally.
When you told me that on your
Yeah.
sheet, all you had literally written was Parm, I was so satisfied and excited.
yeah,
by
like
that.
that's all I can
It's
think
fine.
of.
That's all you need.
And it's just real Parmesan is so special.
thank
Like
you.
everyone's like, oh, everyone knows what Parmesan is. I'm like, but you have you
Have a little
eaten?
Just go a little bit.
A little bit more?
Thanks.
And like, you ever just eaten like a
Thanks.
piece of planed Parmesan off a freaking 80-pound wheel? It's so good. It's so good. Like it's
Wheels, wow.
unbelievable.
Those things are massive.
Yeah,
Those
you
Parm-
gotta
those
have.
drums.
Mhm.
We order like quarter wheels and they're still like that.
They're
They're still
huge.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to get. I have a cracking kit at the store because you have to like wedge things in it all
To
the way
open it.
around. Mhm. It's like a process. But real Parm
That
is
flavor will
so special.
absolutely fill your entire mouth.
Mhm.
Like it
Parm
takes
is like
every bit of
boom.
yeah.
Yeah. I get what you mean too. Like there are probably other cheeses that are better to eat as a snack versus mixing it into something because it does dry, like covers your whole mouth and then it kind of dries it out. But then when you follow it with the green chartreuse,
Yeah.
It's just so
like,
like
so sweet
thick.
and herby.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
it just rehydrates
I was
you.
gonna say like remoisturize your
Yeah.
mouth. Yeah.
Like I don't know if I want to
Solid
like go to
combination.
a graduation party and just eat Parmesan all day, but
But if they
I
give you
definitely
some green
give me some
chartreuse,
chartreuse.
like that idea.
I would do this.
Next cousin that graduates, I'm just bringing Parm and green chartreuse.
a pound
Do it.
wedge.
Yeah, yeah.
You're welcome. Just say you needed this. Okay.
Graduates
You're gonna
college,
grow up
obviously.
after this. Yeah.
Age.
That was outstanding.
Oh, so good.
Thanks for bringing so much cheese, Sean.
Dude. It's what I
Fabulous
love.
choices.
It's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
Where's the store? Tell the people.
121 First Street, Fenton, Michigan. It's right behind, if you're familiar with the Fenton area, it's directly behind the Fenton Hotel.
Tucked right in there.
Or the big old Red Fox building. It's right there on that little side street.
By the tracks.
By the train tracks. Yeah, if a train rolls through while you are in the store, can't hear what you're saying, but that's okay. I can just give you cheese till
Give
you
it
can,
5 minutes.
so I can hear you again. Yeah. Yeah, we are open 5 days a week. We are closed on Sundays and Mondays.
So are we.
Yep. Like most of the town of Fenton, I feel like it's
Yeah.
usually closed on Sundays and Mondays.
Lately.
And we offer tons of catering options. If you have a party you want to go to over the holidays, we have tons of cheese boards. If you have a gift you want to bring to someone, we offer gift baskets and all that kind of stuff. And we just really want you to stop in and try some cheese. You can try anything you want while you're in the store. We offer as many samples as you want. So we're here for you. We're still learning at the Cheese Lady, so we want to help you learn. And we just are so excited to bring this awesome food, front and center.
To town, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Fenton loves it, and we love it. And we've had tons of support, so
Always have a great
it's
time
awesome.
going in there.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
having fun.
Well, thanks from Courtney, from myself, from Tyler. Thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Tune in next time.
Look for some of these cheeses on our upcoming cheese
Oh,
boards
yeah.
for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah,
yes.
for sure.
Thanks, guys.
Adios. Cool story, bro. Let's move on.